Like it, loathe it, agree, disagree. I think it's safe to say that over the last 48 hours, we have peaked in terms of the worst of winter 2023-24. Thanks for clicking on to the Thursday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. Here at Marflogan Weather HQ, snow depth when I took my wife to work at the back of 6 this morning was at 2.5 inches. By the time I woke up this afternoon, it was sitting on 8 inches, and I had to dig the car out of the driveway to go pick her up from work. So yeah, significant amount of additional snowfall here in Edmonton, just north of Inverness, and you can see the weather station buried. Beautiful winter wonderland. It pains me to say this. I just think this is a waste of a good solid snow cover because we know what's coming up over the next 24 hours or so. We are going to start to see the Atlantic wind back in once again. The Westerlies are going to roar. We are going to see a potential named storm, by the way, as we move towards the second half of the weekend, and it's all thanks to adjustments Pacific, North America, Atlantic, and into the west of Europe. But like I say, I think this is the peak of the worst of winter so far. Now, I say so far, I have to emphasize that term because I still think that February is going to pack a punch. We'll wait and see what happens. Could be wrong with that. But I think based on both the amount of snow cover, especially across the north, I say agree and disagree because there's going to be people out there that are saying, you're talking nonsense, Mark. It's a snow cover that's, say, north of the Central Belt, and this is no big song and dance. And yeah, it's not a severe cold spell by any stretch of the imagination, but it is the coldest in parts of the London area in the month of January since 1987, according to Wansteed Weather. Now, we also had temperatures down into the minus 11, even close to minus 12 this morning across the South Midlands, south of England. This is the core of the coldest temperatures that was seen in quite a long time in January across the heart of England and Wales here. Temperatures yesterday morning, minus 14. We didn't quite manage to get that across the northern half of the UK. I think it really disappointed me last night because I thought if we have any sort of clear skies and light winds, similar to what we've seen yesterday morning, where you just get that gap in the weather across the north because we have that northerly flow. We've had frequent snow showers blowing in for the last 48 hours or so and laying down a decent amount of snow cover. I think if we had a clear sky and light wind regime, something similar to February 2021, it would have been one heck of a cold night across the northern half of the UK, especially over that snow-covered ground. But this was the temperatures this morning. -9 in the southern uplands at the Estelmuir. We had Benson, it looks like, at the -10.9 Celsius. We had a -11 at Shap Summit here. So these are the coldest values that we've seen in quite a long time. Incidentally, the -9 that was achieved back at Heathrow Airport last January, something kind of similar time frame to this, I think, actually. It was the coldest since the 1980s during the month of January at Heathrow Airport. So we did have a spell of cold last January. We, of course, had a cold December with a cold start to this December. And I think overall things are shaping up quite nicely. Now, I think the UKV model probably depicts quite nicely the snow cover that we have at the moment across the UK and Ireland. Now, there's parts of County Antrim over towards County Londonderry, Donegal. If you're in that general vicinity, let me know if you've got snow on the ground. Have you seen much in the way of snow across the northern portions of Northern Ireland, parts of northwestern Republic of Ireland? Now, I know Mark Kinnish reporting snowfall in the Wirral in recent days. I'm assuming that's coming and going. I think there's been snowfall in the Greater Manchester area. Parts of the North Pennines probably having issues. A96, A69, etc., etc. I would imagine there's been issues. And as those winds have kind of veered more kind of west-northwesterly during the course of today, we're seeing some of those snow showers running down the western side of Scotland into the Glasgow area, potentially southwestern Scotland. I don't know because I've been sleeping for the best part of 7 hours, so I don't know exactly. I've not got all the details at hand at the moment here. Parts of North Wales, etc. We have seen probably some snowfall over the course of today. So this is the current radar of Weather Online, and you can see the snow showers continuing. You see the orientation of those feeder bands moving in has changed a little bit more towards a northwest or even west to northwest direction. What's going to happen is that we are going to see the temperatures rising over the next 24 hours. So these are the current temperatures according to Meteoseal, and it's below freezing. No surprise there across the vast majority of the UK. In fact, here the time is now 5 p.m. incidentally, and we've got temperatures just above the freezing mark. Hampshire, Dorset, a little bit milder if you notice here down towards Cornwall here, 4s and 5s. Parts of the Republic of Ireland a little bit milder as well. We've got a 7 actually at Valencia, or 6.5 at Valencia Observatory here. Further north, it's closer to the freezing mark as we step into Northern Ireland as well. But hovering around the freezing mark, there's probably a few ice days in the Midlands, Eastern England, and so yeah, I think you can safely say that everything that had been forecast here in the channel has essentially materialised. I did forecast a warm up before the cold even arrived, and we'll watch and see what the Mann-Julian oscillation does as we step forward here, because it's going to get very interesting, I think. But we are going to see a warm up. There's no getting away from that aspect. So here's where we've been over the last 5 days. Notice here, Iberia, very warm compared to average. Southern France, we've seen a very big contrast. Upper teens in the southwest down towards the Bordeaux region during the course of this morning, but we had sub-freezing temperatures in the far north, say north of Paris, up towards Calais. We had a sub-freezing night, so a big contrast even across France, with temperatures even around the San Sebastian area of northern Spain, temperatures into the upper teens during the course of this morning. But then get yourself into the south of England, we had temperatures into the double digits below freezing. So quite an unusual contrast actually between southern UK, southern France and northern Spain. Very cold conditions continue across Scandinavia, and that has been the case really since October. The month to date temperatures, this is the anomalies obviously, and you can see that it is now firmly below average. Now the big test is coming up. How much can we eradicate that cold anomaly here? So obviously this is the month to date, firmly below average. UK, Ireland, northern portions of France through the Low Countries, Germany, Poland, core the coldest there further north here. Now upcoming 7 days according to the CFSV2 looks like this here, holding on to cold and average if you notice across the northern UK, and that will be indicative of the snow cover. Now, I think flooding is going to become a big issue this weekend, by the way, as warmer air moves in, but it's also moister as well. We're going to see heavy rainfall on top of nearly a foot of snow in many areas, central and northern highlands here. I think the flood risk is going to be significant. But slightly above average temperatures across Wales, as you can see here, across parts of southern and western Ireland. Close to average, which I actually think is interesting here, despite the fact that we're going to see this warm-up taking place. Warmer air, Atlantic air replacing Arctic air, dense cold Arctic air can actually be quite a messy scenario. But then we go firmly warmer than average through the final week of January. So this is the 24th through 31st of January. Wow, look at that. It's like a blowtorch. And like I've already highlighted many times over, MJO rotating back through the warm phases that we've seen the warm up back in December. So obviously there's no certainty with regards to the later down the road here. My assumption is there's going to be influences with the stratosphere, the strong warming that we've taken place. The cold spell that we've got actually at the moment may be attributed to the strong weakening of the PV that was seen back earlier in the month of can't remember, I'm getting mixed up now with the time frame here, but we've seen the strong warming take place, weakening the PV, possibly during the month of December, which may be responding now to the cold that we've got now. We've also seen a very short-lived reversal in the mean zonal winds within the polar stratosphere. That may have influence 2 to 3 weeks down the road here, so the time frame would be early to mid-February. I would expect to see both the Arctic Oscillation and North Atlantic Oscillation going back towards negative once again. That has been the theme throughout the course of the winter so far. But the GFS ensemble here, this is the 850 for London, and you can see the sharp rise firmly below the average line. The red line is the average for London. You can see here we go full sweep out of deep negative up towards positive, get a bit of a dip once again, if you notice, around the 22nd, 23rd of the month, and then we go back into very strong positive anomalies here with regards to London. Looking at Inverness, you can see here a little bit closer to the average line with the ups and downs similar to London, but notice here it's a little bit closer to the average line, which would indicate to me that we're trying to hold on to something a little bit colder across the northern UK here. So if we look purely at the biased warm CFSV2, I have to emphasize that point because we know what the CFSV2 can be like, and a lot of the models struggle to see cold air. But this is the upcoming 7 days of the model, and you can see firm positive, unusually warm conditions. Canaries, Morocco, up in the southern portions of Europe, we've had unusually warm conditions, and that often is the case when you've got this deep negative Arctic oscillation, North Atlantic oscillation. We've seen it in the 09-10 winter where we had record warmth through the Mediterranean, record cold across the UK and Ireland, of course. But you notice here that we've flattened things out big time. Very zonal pattern. Remember in yesterday's video I highlighted the change with the MJO, the influence through the North Pacific, the jet flattening out, strengthening over the Pacific. That in turn floods North America with the milder air, and then in turn it has that ripple effect continuing across the North Atlantic. So the jet stream is revving up big time, and then we're going to see one system after another. Warm, moist air back in play once again. Like I say, the flood risk is going to be very real. Up the week 2, and you've got the big strong positive. So we're actually going from a kind of semi-neutral North Atlantic oscillation to firm positive. So this is going to be quite the sharp contrast between deep negative and strong positive. When you've got that high pressure building over the UK and Ireland here, you've got the deepening of the trough over the North Atlantic and Greenland. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be record warm temperatures. It might be, but at the same time, when you've got high pressure at this time of the year, you can tend to have cooler conditions. It depends on the position of the high, of course. You know that, I'm sure, if you've been following my videos for quite some time. There's no point looking much beyond the final week to 10 days of the month. We'll look at that in another video. So what is expected with regards to the upcoming weekend here then? So you can see 850 temperatures. Let's have a look and see what they're like at the moment. And we've got a bit of the cold air in place here, higher pressure trying to move in slightly. But as that high sinks a little bit further south, that's going to allow milder air to run over the top of that high. And we kind of cling on to something slightly cooler at 850 through the course of Saturday. It's a messy picture, but you notice it's squeezing the isobars here, indicating windy conditions here. And then it's as a deep area of low pressure moves in during the course of Sunday, we're pulling in something milder still. But notice here, as that system moves through, we've got cooler air coming in on the back side of it here. So it's not just a clear run of let's wipe everything out and it's shorts and t-shirt weather. It doesn't quite work like that here, especially with the snow-covered ground across the north. That helps refrigerate the atmosphere at the low levels here. And that kind of rise and fall of the temperature is seen by the GFS ensemble, of course, as well. So let's look at the overview chart. The latest run of the GFS. Remember, there's alterations depending on what model run you look at. But you can see here more snow coming in as that milder air meets the colder air in place. Then we've got a frontal system moves in early on Saturday morning. That clears through. We're squeezing the isobars. High pressure, quite strong over Europe. Lower pressure over the northwest of the UK here. So we've got that pinch in the isobars indicating some pretty windy conditions. West to southwesterly winds and a slow rise in temperature. And then as we move into late Saturday into Sunday, we've got a frontal system moves through. There's the main system. One feature runs ahead of it. Then according to the latest run of the GFS, that 958 millibar low with a very strong squeeze in the isobars indicate that could be stormy indeed, and a very low pressure also here. Maximum wind gusts at this time frame is very strong indeed. Severe gales, storm force winds possible during the course of Sunday, so we need to keep an eye on that. Interesting times, getting closer to 6,000 subscribers, so help me by hitting that red button. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.